Hello and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill and today I'm going to show you how I made this cute Easter door hanger. This was a fun and colorful wood craft, so I can't wait to share it with you. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. As always, all the products I use will be listed in the description below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm starting with this cute 18-inch bunny door hanger from CamiPaige Boutique, and then I'm coming in with this Valspar stain blocking bonding primer. I know it's a mouthful, but this stuff is amazing. It really primes the bunny and it makes it to where my next coats of paint go on seamlessly. I really like to focus on the edges of the wood blank that you see here. I guess that you can call that the wood door hanger, because it hides kind of the laser marks and some of that darker kind of charred spots that you get a lot of times with these kind of laser cut blanks. So you're just gonna see I'm taking my time moving around the edges, making sure that they get coated, and then I'm just going to do light coats just across the bunny to make sure that I get all of that wood nice and coated. If you don't do this, you're going to have to paint several coats to get the coverage that you want, because otherwise the wood will just soak up the paint and you don't want that. Also, this primer prevents, or it helps to prevent the bleeding underneath tape. I didn't do the Mod Podge for these because I wanted to try it out, but I think you should go in with a coat of Mod Podge after you've done 2 coats of this paint, because then you 100% do not get the bleeding, but I didn't do that and I kind of paid for it later. So just come in, do nice even coats, let them dry in between layers, and then it's time to move on to the next step. So since this bunny is 18 inches, I wanted to do 2-inch stripes down the bunny. So I'm just coming in and marking off the 2 inches with a marker pen. Use a pencil. The pen started to show up after I came in with paint, so use a pencil if you had it. I just did not have the one on hand and I was live at the time, so I couldn't go get one. But I'm then going to just come in with the painter's tape and mark off inside of where those ticks are. So pretty much what we're doing is we're marking off the 2-inch stripe that we'll be using kind of as a guide. So we're just going to do that and then move up the bunny. So that way we can paint the stripes that don't have the tape, let that dry, and then come in with the stripes that do have the tape and just kind of finish off the design. I hope that makes sense. I know I kind of probably really made that more complicated than it needed to be. So just take your time. And one thing you really want to make sure to do is push down that tape. You can see there that it's kind of wavy and it's not really pushed down on the door hanger. By taking the extra time and just making sure that it's nice and pushed down, it really helps to prevent any bleeding. I tried to do it. I didn't do it very well. So some of the purple paint that we'll be using in just a second did bleed underneath the tape. But by just really pushing it down like you see there, it really helps to prevent some of that bleeding, but also take the precautionary steps that we talked about previously, and you will be golden. Once you have all of the tape applied, just go through one more time and make sure that it's pushed down as evenly as possible, and then it's time to move into the fun step of painting. For this door hanger, we are going to be using Miss Lilian's No Wax Chalk paint. Now, I love this chalk paint. Anybody who has followed any of my tutorials recently knows that I've been using the heck out of it just because it covers so well. And the other thing is that it really has amazing self-leveling properties, so you don't get a lot of the paint strokes that you get with other paints. So you can come in, apply a nice layer, an even layer, and it's going to level out and not have kind of that bumpiness that you have with a lot of other paints. This color here is called Robin's Egg. It is a beautiful blue. And then I'm going to come in with a vintage Cottage, which is this beautiful, like, it's one of my favorite colors, but it's just a wonderful kind of minty green that still has enough pigment to it to where it really shows up nicely. And I thought it complemented this whole color scheme very nicely. One thing I do, and I don't know if this is a hack or just something I do to maintain my sanity, but I actually keep all of the paints in order in front of me and put them back in order so that I don't mess it up. And that's one way that I really try to keep the order of my paints aligned when I'm doing a striped pattern like this. The color that we're using here is Smooth Jazz, and it's not covering the way I want it to because I actually had way too much water in my brush. You can kind of see it there, like I'm able to just like pull it off. So I just tried to make it as even as possible and just let it dry, and then I'll come in with another coat to cover that purple because it's just very translucent, because literally my brush was full of water and I didn't know that when I came in for that stripe. We're also going to be going in with another stripe of this robin's egg blue, and you can see when you don't have a wet brush how wonderful that covers. And then we are going to finish off this round of colors with another coat of vintage cottage. So there was like a little gloopy part of wood right there, but we're going to be sanding this, which is another reason why I love the Miss Lilian Snow Wax Chock paints, because you can actually sand them and it just gets a great distressing look that's just enough, not too much, and I think it really pulls this whole look together. After we do our touch-up painting, I'm going to pull the tape, and then we are going to go into our next round of colors, which is more of those warm tones and probably more of my favorites. The next color up is Rosebud, and I absolutely love this pink, so I'm just going to come in, and this time I'm using a little bit of a thinner paintbrush, and I don't think I mentioned it before, but the paintbrushes that I really like to use aren't paintbrushes at all. They're actually Wet n Wild makeup brushes, and I cannot claim that I am the genius that thought to do this. I've seen this from a bunch of other creators, but they're available at the dollar store. I think you can find them on Amazon and at Walmart. But the reason why I'm using a thinner makeup brush or paintbrush here is because it gives me a little bit more control over the paint placement and helps me to keep the lines as straight as possible, knowing that they're not going to be perfect, which we don't want them to be perfect, because for this look, we're going of more of a kind of organic, whimsical, more hand-painted look. So you could absolutely do straighter lines if you wanted to by using like the paint tape and just really focusing on how crisp they are. But I didn't want that for this bunny. So I'm just going to, again, use the thinner paintbrush, just kind of come in and keep those lines as straight as I want, but not killing myself over perfection. Then, just to keep the pattern going, I am going to come down and do a second stripe of the pink. This one is just like the first, so I'm just using that makeup brush and just kind of outlining where I want it to go. I really like to get a lot of the paint built up on the outside of this brush. So if you can kind of see it there, I'm almost having it like ball up in a line. And what this allows me to do is to really control how straight the lines are and get really good coverage, so I'm not having to go over it multiple times. So I did that with the paint on the left-hand side of the brush. Now I'm doing it on the right-hand side, and I've found that this really helps me to keep the lines straight and get great coverage where those two colors overlap, because the last thing you want to do is have to keep on going over it over and over again, kind of like what you see right there, because your lines get wonky and they're not straight and they're kind of walk on you over into the other colors. So just take your time, and I hope that tip helps, but that's really what helps me to kind of keep these aligned and looking snazzy for this door hanger. Now, it wouldn't be Easter without yellow. So this color is called Suburban Honey, and I have been obsessed with this color since we got it in stock. It is a cooler toned yellow, so it definitely pulls, I don't even know how to explain it. It just fits really well with the cooler tones. It's not as orangey as some other yellows. It's just got great pigment to it, and I really like it. So I'm just coming in with the same techniques that I used with the pink paint, and the purple bled on me, and I figured out it was because I did not push the tape down, even though I recommended it several times earlier on in the post. But you can also see the amazing coverage that you get with these Miss Lilian's chalk paints, because I'm able to go over this purple without any problem and just get great coverage, even though it is a lighter color. We are then going to go in with Bella's Coral. This is an amazing color I've been using a lot lately, and thank you to my group for recommending this color. I actually painted this bunny live in my Facebook group. It's called the Corrupted Crafters. I go live every Tuesday, so if you'd love to come hang out, we would be enthusiastic and overjoyed to have you. But I'm just going to come in with this Bella's Coral and just finish this baby off. I let that dry for a little bit, and then I did do some touch-up painting and a second coat in a couple of spots where it was a little bit thinner, but then we were ready to move on to the next step. After all the paint was dry, I came in with an 80 grit sanding block, and I am just going to come in and kind of scuff up the edges and the surface to do just a little touch of distressing. So not too much, just enough just to give it a little nice look. And then I'm going to come in with bright white from Miss Lilian's No Wax Chalk paint. And I start off with very, very little paint on the brush, just to kind of mark where I want these highlights to be. And this is where my heart wanted these highlights, but you can put them wherever you like. But I just just marked them off with very little paint, and then I came in and did more of a second heavier coat to really solidify those highlights on the bunny. I then grabbed some awesome glue. I will link it down in the description below, and attached this super cute little bunny's tail. All this is primed with that Valspar that you guys saw me use at the beginning, and then I just attached it to the bunny. But now it's time for the ribbon. So for the ribbon, I'm going to be using 3-inch wide wire ribbons, so you can see them there. So these are just some different ribbons. I either got them from Sam's or Michael's, and I'm cutting them about 4 inches long. So just kind of laying them out. And then I'm just using this 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch orange ribbon that you see there, and then these cute little hearts that I got from the dollar store. I'm then going to add in a second piece of that orange in another color of these hearts to really bring the full kind of life of the bow together, so you can see there. And also, because we only have one of the orange stripes on there, I wanted the orange to be the focal point of this bow. I then have this super small zip tie. I will link it down in the description below, but I have found that this is the best way for me to make my bows really stand, this upholds to the outside elements. So I'll come in and I'll just zip tie the middle, and then I'll make sure that I like the placement. Then I'm going to trim that off, and then we're going to use more of that orange ribbon around the center. Now, before I did this, I did cut like the little V's in the ribbon, so they had that nice finishing touch, so all of them that you can see right there. But what I did is I just cut a little bit of the orange gingham pattern, and then I'm going to come in with hot glue, use my silicone tool to kind of hold it in place so I don't burn myself. Let that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to come in on the other side and really make sure that it's pulled tight and it covers that zip tie as well as possible, and then floof up my bow just like so, and then we're going to attach it to our bunny ears. Now, I wanted a girl bunny, so I'm actually going to put this on her ear, but if you wanted more of the traditional male bunny, you could obviously make this a bow tie, but I just use a good helping of hot glue and just put that up at the top of the ear. To give the hanger for this bunny, I know there's other ways that you can do this. I just think that the ribbon kind of looped into that U is the cutest way to do it. So I just loop it, make sure it's even on both sides, and then I put a little bit of hot glue and push it down with just like a tool so I don't burn myself. So again, trying to keep it even on both sides, and then you got this little hook that is perfect for your door. Oh my gosh, she is so freaking cute. I cannot wait to get her hung up and bring on the spring and Easter season. I hope this tutorial inspires you, and I can't wait to see what you create. If you have any questions about any of the steps or information, please feel free to reach out and I'll be more than happy to help. As always, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you're notified of all future goodies. Thank you again. Love you guys. Bye.